you see in the underlying map here is a heat map of light emissions. And light emissions, of course, equal what? Well, you should be saying real estate, but many of you will have different answers. But it is real estate. There's concentrations of real estate, and you can see from this mapping that it's not surprising that the MLSs are concentrated in those areas where the real estate is being done. Beyond that, another indicator of how these natural market areas are happening, and by the way, that light map thing came to me because I live in Colorado, and one night I was watching the late night news, and they showed an above, looking down kind of lightscape at night, and I said, well, that's very interesting. Boulder and Denver are growing together. Of course, everybody knows that. What they did was they zoomed out, and it was from where I live in the northern part of Colorado down to the southern portion of Colorado. And within that, I knew for me, I'm like, well, there are 3 MLSs there, and yet looking from above, this is a single marketplace the way the consumer views it. They don't care about these association-ascribed chartered territories that have now become our MLS service areas. And so again, as we're changing and we're thinking about our strategies, we have to recognize what are the natural marketplaces that the consumers are showing us. And this one I really, really like, and my answer, of course, is you'll get this question, how many MLSs should there be? And most will default to a 50, right? You guys are saying it in your head. You're licensed to sell by state. For me, the answer is 172, and this map is the reason why. This is through the Census Bureau. It's what's called a combined statistical area. And what this reflects is, and you've probably seen, metropolitan, suburban, some of those designations I've already covered and understood those as census designations. But in this instance, what this represents is those communities, those metropolitan areas, those suburban areas, and even in instances outlying urban or rural areas that have 15% economic overlap. So in other words, this is where consumers live, work, and play. So they drive to the office to do work. They go to this regional facility to have fun and to engage with their families, and then they go home. But these are all what they see as a natural marketplace, and these are certainly not in alignment with what we know inside of organized real estate as our service areas. And when you really start to look at this, I encourage you to look this up for your own and really start to think through, what does our MLS footprint look like against what the consumer footprint is in terms of where they live, work, and play? And if we're not matching against that and we have competing MLSs in those environments, what does that mean for our strategies and how we engage?